V-Mail, aka Mo Thoughts, and I am here for another episode of Hot Chocolate Conversations. I want to thank you all for tuning in to this episode of Hot Chocolate Conversations. Over the weekend, I did parts one and two of God is the One That Validates. Now, the reason why I started this series again is because I knew that I personally needed to deal with the need of wanting validation from a person or persons. See, I had thought that I had got past that, but in recent times, there was a situation that I found myself wanting validation from a certain person and persons. Being inspired by this person and things like that, and reaching out, but yet, it just didn't seem to be the reciprocation like I thought. And sometimes, people don't always reciprocate like we think they should because people are different. So, anyway, I'm glad that I did this episode because it helped me to move forward in some things. And so, again, I want to thank y'all for tuning in to Hot Chocolate Conversation Season 1. Thank you all for making this a wonderful season. I was not going to do a season one. However, when I got the green light, I was like, okay, now it's time to relaunch Hot Chocolate Conversation. So, again, I want to thank you all out there for making this a great, amazing season one. And please stay tuned for season two because season two is going to be lit. And I want to, again, thank all my supporters. I want to give a special shout out to Bonita Show. She is one of my friends on Facebook, and she has been my supporter, one of my top supporters since the Blog Talk Radio days. So I want to give a special shout out to her. She is getting an award in May in Columbia, South Carolina. And she is one of the top people. I mean, she is awesome and amazing at what she does. She has been in broadcasting entertainment for many, many years. So I really look up to Bonita Show. So I want to give a shout out to her. Her name is Bonita Show on Facebook, but her name is Bonita Rufus Gassy. So I want to give a very special shout out to her. I definitely look up to her and I give her her flowers. I give honor where honor is due. So I'm going to be interviewing her very soon. So you want to make sure you tune in for season two because season two is going to be lit. Also for season two, the one and the only Boss Lady from the Boss Lady Radio Show will be on here on March the 30th. So that's a show that you're not going to want to miss. She is the award winning boss lady from the Boss Lady Radio Show. I've been following her for so many years. Ever since Laurie D. Edwards, may he rest in peace, told me about the Boss Lady Radio Show, I have been rocking with that show ever since. So, a special shout out to Boss Lady, also known as Miss Fabulous. Uh, so, you're going to have to check it out because guess what? Season two is going to be lit. And I'm also going to have other special guests such as Angie Pat from Boss Up and Boss Up's Epic Miracles. And I also want to give a very special shout out and prayers going up for Mr. Chiller Streeter. I've been knowing Mr. Chiller since 2019. I met him through a mutual person. And so I'm glad that I met Mr. Chiller. He is a living legend. So, Mr. Chiller, I say to you, please pull through. You can do it. You are still here. You are still here for a reason and a purpose. You still have a legacy. So, special shout out and prayers to Mr. Chiller Streeter. He will be a guest on this show later on in season two, but Angie Pat, she is going to be a guest within the next week, and I'm looking forward to having her on the show because she talks a lot about bossing up. I mean, just the name Boss Up. She is awesome, and she is a beautiful soul, beautiful spirit, and she is amazing at what she does as well. I've been following the Boss Up Show since 2021, and here it is in 2025. So, yeah, shout out to Angie Pat. She is a jack of all trades. She knows how to do it. She multitask and boss up and all of the above. So shout out to her. I cannot wait till she is on season 2, okay? Like I told y'all, season 2 is going to be lit. So I am wrapping up season 1 with this show of about validation because I found myself, in a place where I was seeking validation from a certain person or persons. And, there's times that I like to reach out to people, here and there. And I'm thinking, okay, I can reach out to this person and I'm extending invitations and, stuff like that. But this particular person did not reach out the way I thought they would, right? So, from my perspective, I was like, well, is this person funny? Is this person not reciprocating or so on and so forth? But you know what? I had a friend of mine that told me that, you have to consider the other person's perspective about things. And I think I got so caught up putting this person on a pedestal that I made myself feel small. And I was like, well, this person doesn't hype me up like that. And I was reaching out to them and giving them energy and all of that. But yet and still, I observe and see that, people give their energy to who they want to give energy to. See, you can give energy to a person, and that person can give their energy to somebody else. Just because you give energy to a person doesn't mean they're going to give you that same energy. And I learned that it's okay. It's okay, you know? So the lesson learned with that is to be mindful on my end on how much energy I put out there and how much energy I give to people. And then also, I've noticed this past week, people will say they love you and say they love you on social media, but you know what? They don't love you in real life. The same people that say, oh, I love you, oh my God, and they'll put it on social media. But do you think they'll pick up the phone and call and see how you're doing? But you'll see how they're doing, right? But they're not going to call and see how they're doing because guess what? They are busy giving their energy to someone else. So bottom line is you have to protect your energy. You have to protect your energy. That goes for any and everybody. And also realize that people, are mindful of their connections just like I'm mindful of my connections. And I've also learned that about divine connection. I spoke about divine connection in the second episode. See, I am looking for divine connections, especially when it comes to friends, especially when it comes to sisterhood. I am not looking for divine connection, but God knows how to bring people across your pathway who really love you. People who don't just love you on social media, but people who actually love you in real life. Because anybody can write on social media, I love you, and oh my God, I thank you for your support. But when you call, they don't pick up the phone. But again, that's something on my end I had to learn is that, again, just because I give energy to people doesn't mean they're always going to give me or reciprocate that same energy. Because guess what? I see that these same persons or person that I was giving energy to, they hyped about somebody else. They hyping up somebody else, you know? But that's something that I had to learn. That's something that I noticed. That's something I observed in my personal life with a situation of reaching out to new people. Sometimes you can reach out to new people, but guess what? Those new persons will take your energy and they all hyped up. A lot of times people are around who they want to be around. You can be a great and amazing person, but it doesn't always mean the person that you reach out to will, necessarily reach out to you the way that you reach out to them. But you know what? It is okay. So I'm just being transparent because it's something that I had to deal with. And I share my story because, if this situation had not occurred, I would not have revisited this subject in my own personal life. Because guess what? I choose to be, not have to be, choose to be first partaker of what I speak about, whether it's in my inspirational messages or in my poems. I choose to be first partaker And, to realize that I am already good enough. I don't have to prove myself. I don't have to perform for people. And see, that's another thing that I had to learn is that I don't have to prove myself to anybody. I don't have to perform. I don't have to audition. Because guess what? If a person wants to be my fellow sister, guess what? They're going to reach out. Divine connection. The key word, like I talked about in episode 2, in the second part of God is the one validates, is that divine connection. When God brings people across your pathway, it is awesome and amazing. And so I've learned that, people, I need people that will love me for me. But guess what? I had to learn how to love me for me. See, a lot of times, especially when I was in the dating world and trying to prove myself to men and all of that, and all of those things, I thought I had to perform because deep down I didn't feel like I was good enough. But guess what? I am good enough. I am already good enough. I am already good enough. And that's something that I had to know for myself, is that I am already good enough. I don't have to prove myself to anyone. I don't have to prove myself to society in any way, shape, or form. And you know what? I'm proud of the growth that I have experienced in the past 5 years. Yeah, really in the past 5 years, when I learned about mindset and the importance of mindset. And so I am not the same person that I used to be. I tell people all the time, I am so thankful that I am not the same person that I used to be. And guess what? You're not the same person that you used to be. See, I'm not the same person I was 2 years ago, 5 years ago, 6 years ago. I've come a long way, a long way. And these validation issues that I have had have been all the way since middle school, when I used to be picked on. I think I talked about that in part 2, when I was picked on. When I was in middle school, I remember when I was catching the bus and the bus was full and I had to stand up on the bus because nobody wanted me to sit beside them. Now, I hadn't done anything to anybody, but again, kids are kids. Sometimes kids are cruel and they pick on other kids for whatever reason. And so I think that stuck with me for so many years, and I did not realize how long I had been carrying those things all the way into adulthood. So I am now in process where I am getting therapy. I want to give a special shout out to Pastor Veronica Doherty, and I know you're watching this. She is the GOAT. She helped get me together through her example of taking care of myself, being healthy, exercising. She is passionate about fitness. And guess what? She's going to be a guest on Hot Chocolate Conversations, the one and only Pastor Veronica Doherty of Shackless Ministries. She's one of my newest supporters, so I want to give a special shout out to Pastor Veronica Doherty, okay? But I was able to drop in on her Bible study tonight, and she talked about the importance of the mind and, mindset and getting therapy and, different things like that. And it was such confirmation for me. I said, I need to do that. And so I am going to be getting therapy as well. I love to pray. I love to meditate. But I know with me that there are things that I need to also talk out as well. Different deep things from my childhood. So again, therapy has its place. And in my personal journey, I've incorporated getting coaching from people, getting counseling, because there were some deep things that I had concerns about that I needed to talk to a professional about. And I'm not ashamed to admit it. And it has helped me. in my spiritual growth and mental health, because mental health is everything. Mental health is everything. And so I'm just sharing my story and being transparent because I know that there's someone out there who has been through the same things that I've been through. And I just want you to know that you're not alone, and God is the one who validates. Bottom line, that was the theme of all three shows. God is the one who validates. So if you didn't get anything from these three episodes, know that God is the one that validates. I had a fellow sister of mine who uh, watched the episode. I think she watched the first part one, and she was amazed of the growth and how God has brought me. And I'm so thankful for that feedback because, I do allow God to work on me. I pray as much as I can. I fast. I meditate. I do all of those things to keep grounded, to be in a healed place, to stay in a healed place because I know how I used to be. I know how I used to be. About 10 years ago, I was writing this guy who was incarcerated at the time. This was about 2014. And he was telling me all the stuff that I wanted to hear. But then when I started asking him about certain things, he started switching up. But I had got so caught up in those letters he was writing. But then he told me he just wanted to be friends. And I was like, what? What in the world? And when I tell you it affected my mental, I had to get therapy. I had to get the help that I need because it was weighing on me so much because I'm like, well, this guy is telling me all the stuff in the letters that I want to hear, but yet he turned around and said that he only wanted to be friends. And literally, and part of this testimony is in my book. I was experiencing so much anxiety. I think during that time, I remember the first time I had an anxiety attack back in 2014. It took me about 10 minutes to call 911, and I was scared because I had never had a feeling like that ever before in my life. And I didn't know where this anxiety was coming from. I had never had an anxiety attack prior to then. And I was like, what is really going on? But I got the help that I needed. And it took me a while to get to a good place. For about 2.5 years, it was very, very, very interesting times I was going through. But I made it through with the help of God, and I prayed and I fasted and I just trusted God in the process. And so now I am so grateful to be in a good place. And so that's why I'm very intentional about staying in a healed place. That's why I do these things to make sure that I am in the right mindset, that I have the right mindset, that I also respect other people's boundaries as well. Because again, even though I felt the way I felt about the other situation, but I also realize I respect other people's boundaries as well. So from the other end, the perspective of the other person, but from my perspective, I love to reach out to people and befriend new people and things like that. But I also got to really be thankful for the people who are already in my life. Now, I spoke about that. The people, I decided to have gratitude for the people who are already in my life and the people who I'm friends with on social media who love me in real life. And I want to give a shout out to those who love me in real life because I make sure I love people in real life. So I'm grateful and thankful for the people who love me in real life, not just the people who say they love me on social media, but the persons that will pull up, the persons that will actually call back and say, hey, how are you doing? How are you feeling? How are you today? How can I encourage you? How can I bless you today? Reciprocation. Reciprocation is the key. And see, I don't like one-sided things. When I feel like things are one-sided, I go on about my business. But when there's reciprocation and real love there, not just persons saying that they love, but they really love you. So I'm thankful for the people who love me in real life. And so I have enjoyed doing this 3-part series and just being transparent. And, this was more sharing my story. You can check out the other episode. I went more in depth in 2023 where I discussed Colossians 2 and 10. We are complete in Christ. Make sure you check out that scripture, Colossians 2 and 10. We are complete in Him. And that's something I tell myself every moment I have a chance to. Every moment is that I am already complete in Him. I am already good enough. So as I do this episode, it's helping me as well to share my story and to get it out there and to encourage others. So I want it to be transparent. This is a transparent episode. So again, I thank you all for those that have tuned in, for those that have given feedback about the show. I am so grateful for all of you all, and I thank you so much for making season 1 of Hot Chocolate Conversations an amazing season. And I'm looking forward to season 2. Again, y'all know it's going to be lit. So if you want to reach out to me, if you have any questions, if you have any comments, if you have any feedback, if you have any advice, please don't hesitate to reach out and email me at hotchocolatecombo@gmail.com. If you want to be a guest on this show, please also email me at hotchocolatecombo@gmail.com. Well, until the next time, this is your girl V, and thank you for tuning in to another episode of Hot Chocolate Conversations.